Okay, so I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties here tonight, so that's why this stream is just now starting. Hello, everybody. I hope you all are doing well. Oh, I gotta mute this too. Hold, please. Okay, so I hope you all are doing well. Happy New Year's. I would love to hear what you guys might have planned for New Year's. If you have any mundane physical plans, or if you have any witchy plans for New Year's, I would love to hear about that. Tonight, what I want to do is really kind of like take a deep dive into our astrology for 2021, as well as into our tarot of the year for 2021, and also pull some cards for the new year and kind of see what we have going on there. And also, I plan on talking a little bit about some Chinese astrology for 2021. I like to always kind of like look through multiple modalities when it comes to looking at the new year. I thought about earlier filming a New Year's like ritual video, but I remember that I had actually already filmed that. So that is actually already up on the channel now. Do I have my lighter? I should have probably got that before I just started this live. Oh, it's right there. Okay. So that video is already up and posted. So if you are interested in looking at my New Year's candle magic using an Eve candle effigy, I would love for you to check that out and let me know what you think. I also have a banishment New Year's ritual as well. So if you're interested in that, check that out. Oh, that's awesome, Animist. I'm just going to light up some of this Bakor here. I do have some plans later on this evening for New Year's, so I'm only going to be on here for a little bit tonight. I also finished up uploading some content over on Patreon. So if you'd like some early release to that, you can check out my Patreon. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into our live. Come get you some of these blessings. Get you some good Bakor. Love it. Love it, love it. Okay, so first, let's talk about 2020. So 2020 was, I think a lot of us can say, a very unexpected kind of wild card year. And, you know, I think a lot of our themes with that, looking at some of the astrological sort of conjunctions that we had going on in 2020, and just kind of how the stars were moving, it definitely, I think, is evident of our year. Also looking at, I think more importantly, the tarot card for 2020. So I want to talk first about tarot card of the year and like this kind of concept, because I know that a lot of you, you know, might already be familiar with this, or maybe you are familiar with this, but you do it a different way, or maybe you've never heard of this before. So what a tarot card of the year essentially is it's using the numerology of that year to essentially find the major arcana card. So this is the method and the modality that I was taught, and this is the form that I will be speaking on. So when we are looking for a card of the year, you are going to be looking at the current year, and then you can also layer that with your birth card for that year. So what I mean by that is you're going to take the year 2020. Okay, we're going to first start with understanding the tarot card for actually 2021, not 2020. 2020's tarot card was the Emperor. And we are going to be shifting into the tarot card of the year, which is the Hierophant. So similar but different. And we're looking at this from a major arcana perspective. So you're going to take the year, whatever year, you could do this well in advance if you wanted to. You could do this for 2036 or whatever. But you're going to take those four numbers there and you're going to add them up. And that is going to give you the tarot card of the year. Now, in this thought, we are exclusively going to be using the major arcana. So we have our 22 cards of the major arcana, starting with the Fool and ending with the World. And everyone also has a personal card for each year as well. And I will talk a little bit about how you can kind of configure that numerical equation as well. But starting first, let's look at 2021's card. So for 2021, like I said, we are kind of leaving the Emperor behind. The Emperor was the tarot card for 2020. So with 2020 being this year of the Emperor, we have a lot of Aries energy. We have a lot of planet Mars energy coming through with the tarot card. And we have a lot of masculine energy. The Emperor is often associated with like the father of all fathers, you know, the uncles, the brothers, the sons, the husbands. It's very much a card that hits more so on the divine masculine aspect. Its counterpart would be the Empress. And it's very much a card that is indicative of leadership and authority and protection. And when we have the Emperor card upright, we are looking at all of the positive attributes of essentially the divine masculine in all things. And when we have this card reversed, because when you are going to be doing tarot card of the years, you want to be looking at the upright and the reversed associations, because the year is going to be, that's going to kind of be the summary for the whole year. So you're going to be looking at this card and its meaning in its upright form and in its reversal. So when we have the Emperor reversed, we're dealing with more themes of toxic masculine. So maybe more obsessive or controlling, abusive, and especially when it comes to like places of power. And I think that we can see all of the very high highs and very low lows of the Emperor throughout 2020, kind of looking back. So I think that's so interesting. Now, moving forward in 2021, like I said, we are having the Hierophant. So we are going to actually be shifting away from some of this Aries energy, and we are going to be shifting away from that Martian planetary energy. And instead, what we are going to be doing is shifting through the zodiac energy with Taurus, because Taurus is the zodiac that is most heavily associated with the Hierophant. So instead of having this very heavy Aryan focus, we are going to be having more of a Taurine focus. And that being said, Taurus is associated with the planet Venus. So instead of having that Martian influence, we are going to be experiencing more Venezuelan influence in 2021. And I think that actually ties in really nicely with our Chinese astrology for 2021. But before, we get too much more into that, I kind of want to talk about some key points here with our tarot card for 2021. So grab yourself a beverage, a tea, a water, maybe some sparkling champagne, a little claw, and let's get cozy and let's just chat for a little bit about, what we can find out about 2021 with a witch. So let's see here. Okay. I actually think I want to get the Hierophant card out of my deck here. This is going to be the Rider-Waite Radiant Edition. Let me get the Hierophant. Here we go. So if you are not familiar with the Hierophant from tarot, because I know that folks watching kind of come from all different experience levels and backgrounds. So I just kind of want to display this image here. So this is the Hierophant. Okay. This is the Hierophant. Now, what the Hierophant represents in tarot is essentially we have tradition and organized institutions and structure. So that is, and this is a major arcana card, right? Because we're looking at the 22 majors. So how do you feel about this card? That's the first thing you do when working with the tarot. Yes, there is an organized language. So yes, cards do have certain themes and meanings, because like I said, this is a divinatory occult language, right? So the Hierophant does represent organized institutions, organized religion. It represents that sort of structure and that inherited structure. But just kind of intuitively and empathically looking at this image, you know, how do you feel? I think that's kind of the first step. And for me, whenever I see the Hierophant, maybe it's a little bit of like the black sheep or the rebel child in me, but I initially kind of feel the need to go against the grain. And for me, that's just been who I've been my entire life. And when the Hierophant is upright, like I said, it's very much about upholding the status quo, following with tradition, right? And when it's reversed, it's more about we're breaking tradition. We're breaking out of societal norms and moving into maybe what society might even view as taboo. So here is that card. Again, like I said, this is a card that very much kind of is similar to the Emperor in a way because we have themes of authority. A lot of people look at the Hierophant and almost kind of see Pope-like imagery coming here. So, and this is the number 5. So we know that this is 2021's card because that is the number for 2021. So when you add 2021 up, the number you get is 5. The Hierophant is the 5th card of the major arcana. So we know right off the bat that this is definitely going to be a card that is going to bring with it a unique set of challenges that are going to be separate from the challenges of the Emperor. So I don't think I don't want to, I guess, what's the word I want to say? I don't want to diminish any hope here with 2021 being better. I know that I've had some of you guys reach out and clients lately, being like, is 2021 going to be better than 2020? Yes and no. Yes and no. In some ways, 2021 is going to be better. And in other ways, we're going to have, it's not necessarily going to get I won't say it'll be worse. I will say it'll be a lot of the similar things that we've experienced that could potentially become intensified depending on other astrological factors as well. It very much can be a card of hardship, but it can also bring tremendous amounts of growth and achievement as well if this energy is sort of used correctly. So looking here at some of these notes, it feels like the year ahead is going to bring challenges, and we will have to call upon the collective wisdom and knowledge to navigate it. We will have to think carefully about what we want to create rather than falling back into old patterns or going backwards in our quest for security and safety. We are going to have a need to listen to what experts tell us and use our discernment so that we can see who truly are the experts and who are the ones who have the best interests of the world as their motivation rather than falling under the spell of charismatic, egotistical leaders. Because remember, the Hierophant, this is very much a leadership role and position. And even amongst some tarot enthusiasts and tarot academics, there will be the Hierophant as kind of the male counterpart, even sometimes, of the High Priestess. You will see that kind of comparison. Both the Hierophant and the High Priestess are religious leaders. So it's kind of like two faces of the same coin, if you will. So when we're talking about that sort of leadership, that is going to be playing a really big role in 2021. There's going to be lots of themes of institutions and organizations and that sort of leadership. And also, too, I mean, this is also very political as well. So looking at that tarot card, the next step here is you need to kind of take a look at your own personal birth tarot. So how you do this is we're going to have the number 5, right? And we have the number 5 because 2021, you add that all together, you get 5. But what we want to do next here, because this is where you can kind of see how this is going to be interactive for you on a more personal level. What you want to do is take your birthday minus, okay, minus your birth year. So let's say you are born January 1st, right? So you would have 1 and 1. So that would be 2. And then you're going to add that 2 onto the 5, which then becomes 7. So in the instance where you get a number that is higher than 22, what you want to do is then add those numbers together. So let's say you get 23 or 24 or 26. You want to add those numbers together again, and you keep adding them until you get a number less than 22. And this is what is going to give you your personal card for 2021. This is how readers, I guess if we want to call it an industry, you could say this is kind of an industry secret that if you really want kind of a deeper dive in the world of tarot on how this year is going to be for you, you want to stack those 2 cards together. So I'm going to give you an example here. And I'm just going to pull a random major arcana. Okay, Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune. So let's say that for you, you have the Wheel of Fortune card as your tarot card of the year for 2020. Now, obviously, we're all going to have this Hierophant energy because this is kind of our more dharmic perspective. This is kind of our more global card. You know, this is very much going to be our surroundings. We are going to be dealing with organized institutions. We are going to be dealing with people in places of power, be it better or worse. We are going to be dealing with either, if this card comes up upright, we are going to be dealing with people trying to maintain the status quo and following tradition and trying to ensure that people are falling in line with where they're supposed to, in the idea and the notion that we're following orders and tradition. I think that we are going to be experiencing a lot of this card reversed, though, as well, especially with this conjunction that we've just had with Saturn and Jupiter. I think that's really going to be a forecast for all of 2021. I think that's really going to be affecting 2021 because of when it has happened. But with this card reversed, we are going to be kind of rebelling against organized institutions, organized thought and taught philosophy. And really, this is very much, when it's reversed, kind of all about everything kind of breaking apart and going against everything that we've been told in order to actually find the truth. And I think that is going to be a very big theme for 2021. Now, we have this card as our status, but then we're going to be looking at your personal birth card. And like I mentioned, you're going to take your birthday and your birth month. You're going to add those 2 numbers together. You're going to add it onto the 5 for the Hierophant, because that is, like I said, the card for 2021. So then you should get a number. Once you have that number, you want to add those again together. So if you have a number higher than 22, you add them again together. If it's less than 22, you do not. So I'm going to give you an example here of actually kind of how this plays out. So let's say your card, for example, is the Wheel of Fortune. Maybe that's your personal card for 2020. 2021. Oh gosh, I got to get used to saying that. It's always weird getting used to writing like a new date and saying a new date. And it takes me usually until about February or March. Anyway, so let's say that your card is the Wheel of Fortune. Excuse me. So with the Wheel of Fortune, basically when this card is upright, we are talking about good luck and good fortune. We are talking about good omens coming your way. When we have this card reversed, we are actually talking more about bad luck, bad omens, curses, jinxes, hexes, more in a sense of negativity. This is a very simple card. This is the Wheel of Fortune. This is the Radiant Rider-Waite. And you can see here on the card, we also in the 4 corners for the 4 Fixed elements, earth, air, fire, water. We are going to have Aquarius. We are going to have Leo. We are going to have Taurus. Okay. And Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, Scorpio. You guys got to excuse me. So those are the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac that are in the 4 corners here, if you can kind of see that. So that is going to be manipulating this energy as well. And remember, we have that Venezuelan Tauran energy as well with the Hierophant. So if your card is this, we kind of have double Venezuelan, double Taurus kind of vibes coming into the picture. So things and themes of love and lust and sex and beauty are going to be affected by this year's Hierophant. So that aspect of your life. But you should also pay attention to the other fixed signs of the zodiac as well. So you want to actually look at the uprights and the reversals. Okay. So when you get a card, you need to really be honest with yourself and with the spirit of the tarot, and not just see what you want to see out of it and not just see the upright. You want to make sure that you're looking at the reversal as well, because our year is going to be filled with highs and lows. It's going to be filled with upright moments and reverse moments, just like this Hierophant. There are times where this is going to be upright. There are times where this is going to be reversed. Knowing that ahead of time is what's going to help set you up for more success. And especially as witches here in the craft, it allows us an opportunity to be able to potentially alter and manipulate reality in order to work with the energy that we are being given. And that is our birthright as witches. That is our sacred power to shift that energy and to work with that. So going back to this Wheel of Fortune, this basically in a nutshell means that your year is going to be filled with very, very good luck, very, very good omens, and also potentially very bad omens. Also potentially very much, bad juju as well. So kind of like knowing when this card is upright and reversed with the Wheel of Fortune. The beauty about the Wheel of Fortune is when it's good, it's great. And when it's not good, it's really bad. And so it's an incredibly intense card with the Wheel of Fortune. But I think if there's anything really to take away because this is personally one of my favorite cards artistically. I love the illustration of this. I think it would make for a beautiful tattoo. But I think kind of the innate arcane wisdom of this card of the Major Arcana is that nothing is forever and that everything is temporary. And the Wheel of Fortune, right, is a wheel. So it turns. So if you're having a reversed day, or if you're having a Wheel of Fortune reversed sort of vibe, it can't stay like that forever. Eventually the wheel has to turn, but know that it's constantly turning. So also when things are really good, don't allow yourself to get too comfortable, because that wheel is once again going to turn. It very much represents cycles. It very much represents seasons. And like I said, we have that depicted with our 4 fixed signs of the zodiac, representing the 4 seasons. It's kind of like 4 legs of a table, if you will, of this pillar of life, going into the loyal, royal lioness of Leo, going into this Aquarian space vibe, going into this earthly Taurus, this rich, earthly, fertile Tauran energy blessed by Venus. We have all of those kind of archetypes there, as well as, the deep, deep, deep emotional Scorpio, earth, air, fire, water. I'll do another one if you guys would like. I'll just pull a random Major Arcana card here and kind of talk about it. Oh, thank you guys. Welcome. Welcome everybody who's watching. We're talking about 2021 and what we can pull from that as a witch. Right now we're talking about the tarot and how this might be impacting 2021 with the Major Arcana card of 2021's year being the Hierophant. We're looking at this upright and reversed. And then in case you're just now tuning in, we're also going to be talking about finding your personal card. And once again, how you do that is you're going to take your birthday. So, excluding the year. So, just your birthday and your birth month, add those numbers together, then add it into 2021. So, whatever your number is should be additional to the number 5 because 2021 is a 5 year. And then if you have a number higher than 22, you're going to go ahead and add those cards again together. So I'm going to give you another example here of how you pair these together, because I know that many of us here watching, like I said, come from different sort of knowledge and expertise and familiarities. So I just talked about the Wheel of Fortune, but let's talk about the Tower. So this is the Tower card. If you are not familiar, this is what it looks like. It's a burning building. And this is very much, I would say, when it comes to tarot, there's a handful of cards out of the deck that are a bit like the oh shit sort of cards that people have an innate instinctual reaction to. You know, the Death card, the Devil card, the Tower card, the Three of Swords, the Five of Pentacles. Like, those are very much cards when people see them, they very much have a primal reaction to them. But I want to assure you that if your card for 2021 is the Tower, do not fear. Okay, kind of like the Wheel of Fortune. You got to look at all the goods and bads of the card. So, looking at the Tower card upright, kind of the main theme of this is chaos. I mean, we are looking at a burning building crashing down. You know, people risking their lives in order to survive. They're jumping out of this building here. So, in RWS, which stands for Rider Waite Smith Tarot, like I said, this is an organized divinatory language. So, with this, our keyword is chaos. Our keyword is quick and abrupt change. Another thing that you can look at this following that traditional language is also the Tower card represents essentially everything completely falling apart. Literally a building burning down to the foundation. But that's the key right there. Rebuilding that foundation, right? So when this card is upright, it's very much a signifier that there's a big spiritual shift and change, as well as an earthly change getting ready to happen in your life. And I think the reason why this card is so uncomfortable sometimes for folks is because a lot of us, we really don't do well with change. We really don't do well with just hitting the reset button. But that is very much what the Tower card is about. It's a big reset. It's a complete restart. And that could be, you know, your love life, your job, your family, your home, your health, your spiritual life, your friend group. That could be multiple categories of that. So if that is your card, you want to expect a big restart in terms of your life. And we're going to kind of look at that through the Hierophant. So if we're talking about organized institutions and ways of thinking and thought and political people or people of power and authority, when it comes to politics and religion, that is where this is really going to be impacting us the most. So I think if we look at this from a Tower card, more upright sort of vibe, then we're very much like burning everything to the ground in order to rebuild it and work from the foundation up and possibly even rebuilding the very foundation itself. Because if the foundation isn't solid, moving into 2021, I would say if your foundation, if your root chakra, if you will, isn't solid, then we have to rebuild that completely. We have to tear everything down. Just like if you had a house that was built on an uneven foundation, you are going to have to do a complete remodel. And so that is what would be in store for you, especially when it comes to politics, religion, organized institutions, and following with tradition. Now, if you have this Tower card also coming up in reversed, and every time you do this exercise, regardless of how the card actually is drawn, you want to look at the upright and the reversal. Okay. So when we have the Tower card reversed, we're essentially delaying the inevitable. Okay. So a lot of times with tarot, reversals are kind of the opposite meaning. it's the meaning kind of put on its head. But in this way, it's almost intensified to a much more constructive version, I would say. So when we have this Tower card reverse, we are delaying the inevitable. You are staying in a burning building. You are reluctant to change. You are unwilling to get out of this building that is literally on fire at the risk of your safety. That's how we're kind of rolling with that and looking at that. So I hope that this exercise makes sense to you guys. I've talked about this before in TTC, the tarot training course. And this is something that I work with my tarot students and my advanced tarot students in the workshops. And I think that this exercise is really powerful and impactful. And, you know, you can be accessing this via the numerology of the year and your birth and be putting these two cards together to see, you know, how is this going to be impacting you? And something else you can do if you're interested is if you and your partner, or maybe your children or your loved ones or friends, you can get their cards as well. You know their birthdays, you can also be looking at their cards. So if there's a household, you can be looking at how 2021 is going to be impacting the entire household. You know, your sons, kids, daughters, uncles, aunties, mother-in-laws, whatever. You can be looking at how 2021 is going to be sculpting and shaping everyone's life. But that main theme is still going to be the Hierophant, because that Hierophant is, you know, that overarching energy for the entire year for all of us. But our individual card is how we are going to be experiencing that energy. So you definitely want to project your personal card um, onto the year's card. So I hope that makes sense to everyone. Comment down below, like leave me a little heart or something if you vibed with that, or you enjoyed that, or that made sense to you. And let me take a look at the comments here. Yes. Yeah. Embrace. I would definitely say that rebirth is absolutely a huge theme for the tower. So that is our tarot for 2021. Okay. That is our tarot card for 2021. So moving kind of in this same motion, talking about the number 5, because we know that the Hierophant is the card for 2021 because it's the 5th card of the major arcana. So for those of you who might not be familiar with numerology, the number 5 represents also, it's a big number for change and it's a big number for power. If you think about a pentacle or a pentagram, we have 5 points on it. So 5 is often associated with that sort of spiritual power and gusto. And it's also typically associated with big change, powerful change. So if you're seeing like, you know, 555, that's kind of like a big message of like big awakenings, big shiftings, lots of power there with the number 5. So 2021 being a 5 year is a year, kind of tying this in with the Hierophant, is a year about either following the status quo or going against tradition. It's a year of shifting into a new state of consciousness and being, or about maintaining what has been. And the thing is, what has been really can't be what it is. I'm trying to see how I can say this in the best way, but there is an awakening and a shifting happening in our world that if you are reluctant to, you are going to be staying in a burning building and you will be left behind because people are moving in a new direction, especially with this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. We are shifting into 200 years of air signs. We are moving out of this, you know, very earthly, stubborn, capitalistic, you know, career oriented, capricious energy with Saturn and Jupiter and moving into Aquarius. We are moving into more of a intuitive and mental aspect and less of a physical one. So there is that big shift there happening where we are moving out of the element of earth for our two gods of the cosmos, our two giants, also known as our social planets in astrology, because Jupiter rules how we are blessed. It is all about our blessings. Even looking at Jupiter in your natal chart is going to tell you where you have the most point of where you are going to have the most opportunity. I won't say point of fortune because that would be more like the MC, the midheaven. But Jupiter is a great way, especially for those of us as witches, for us to work prosperity magic and money magic, because Jupiter is really that key there. Jupiter Zeus is really that key to unlocking gifts when I'm talking about like material success specifically. So not necessarily not looking at Jupiter as much on a spiritual level, though, depending on what house it's in, like if it's in an 8th house or a 12th house, it absolutely could be, but not necessarily. And then Saturn is kind of the opposite there. So Saturn rules how we are pressed. Jupiter is where we're blessed. Saturn's where we're pressed. So when we're looking at Saturn, we're looking at obstacles and restrictions and obligations, responsibilities. And we have these two giants, the two largest, I think, visible gods, if you will, kind of coming into the picture here, and they're interacting through Aquarius. So shifting into that new state of consciousness. And this is going to be a 200-year stint. So these aren't going to necessarily stay in just Aquarius for 200 years, but we are going to be having this big connection where we are having 200 years of air signs. So air signs, we are talking about Aquarius, we are talking about Libra, and we are talking about Gemini. But right now, more specifically, we are talking about this Aquarius. Aquarius is very much the black sheep of the zodiac. It's known as like the space sign or the celestial sign. It literally is the water bearer. A lot of people mistake Aquarius because of that Latin aqua as a water sign. It is not. It is an air sign. It is a thoughtful, intellectual, intuitive, philosophical sign. And its house in astrology, being the 11th house, is the house of networking and social ties and sort of beliefs and politics in that way. An image that comes to my mind when I think of Aquarius, obviously we have that runic symbol of those zigzag waves. And then we also have the water bearer. But another image that comes to my mind is the thinking man. And I actually have him, I don't know how well you guys can see, but on top of my bookshelf right here, right there. Can you guys see that? Now that's a very, very iconic statue, and it's a picture, or I guess a statue is a statue of a man kind of like that, and he's the thinking man, and that is very Aquarian is not typically as social and assertively in your face social butterfly as Libra and Gemini can be. Aquarius is a little bit more aloof, and it's much more observant than the other two air signs. And I think that's what is making this so special, because we are also tying this in, like I said, with that Hierophant. So we're really observing what sort of traditions we are upholding and what we are maintaining. And that's why I think the banishment ritual that I was talking about earlier, with the cauldron and the bay leaves, and really letting go and releasing some of these cycles from within us and around us, and banishing things that do no longer serve us, like as cliche as that sounds. Because I feel like in the occult community, we talk about that a lot, like releasing what no longer serves you. But this really is a powerful time to really shift into a new state of consciousness and shift into a new state of being. And, we're literally leaving that very earthly, grounded cap sort of energy and shifting more into a cosmic Aquarian sort of vibe. And that's so powerful. So yeah. So working with the numerology, if any of you are going to be doing candle magic tonight or in the next couple of nights, think about incorporating the Hierophant's energy. Think about working with Venus, Aphrodite. Think about working with that planetary god influence, because with Taurus being the zodiac card for Um, the zodiac card for the Hierophant, we have the planetary factor of Venus. So, talking about love and sex and beauty, you can think about incorporating some of that, some Venusian rituals. You can also think about incorporating the number five in a literal sense because we are shifting into a 5 year. So, whether that's five candles or carving the number five on candles or creating a personalized sigil using the number five. There's various ways that you can incorporate this energy into your craft and into your work. Um, Now, shifting over into our Chinese astrology, 2020 was the year of the metal rat, and we are going to be moving into the year of the metal ox. So we are still going to be in the same element. And this is why I'm saying I think that there's going to be a lot of themes and there's going to be a lot of side effects and aftermaths of 2020 moving into 2021. Each year kind of piggybacks off of the last. So do not expect 2021 to be a complete 180 in a totally different direction from 2020 because it's not going to be because it cannot be. That's not how things don't really work like that. So the element of metal relates to our resources. So we're very much talking about our physical surroundings, our material possessions, and our money and our finances and our security and our home and hearth and our resources. Right? Metal. What comes to your mind when you think of the element of metal? In Chinese astrology, it's not just earth, air, fire, water. There's additional elements as well. So with metal, um, we need to really be paying attention to our finances. We really, really need to be paying attention to our material possessions. Kind of piggybacking off of that Taurus with that second house, our possessions, what we possess. And remember, Taurus is the zodiac that is associated with the Hierophant. And in Chinese astrology, we are having the ox as our animal. Okay. Are you guys following that? The ox is our animal. Once you really start kind of peeling these layers and committing yourself to being a seeker, you can find these answers. You can decode a lot of this stuff. The ox in Chinese astrology is our Taurus. Okay. And remember that Wheel of Fortune card I pulled earlier? We have the Taurus right there. We have the ox right there. We have the golden ox, the metal ox right there. Go and look at that card if you have it nearby. You have a golden ox on the card. So a lot of these signs and omens are right there in front of our face if we just take a moment to actually pay attention. And also if we know what we're looking for. And I understand that some of us might not always know where to look. And I am continuously learning myself here. So I am not saying that I am the end all be all, super supreme, whatever guru of this, that, or the third, because we are all learning and growing here. But what I am trying to do is just kind of show some of my findings. And, if some of this resonates with you, great. And, comment down below and let me know kind of what is intuitively kind of coming to your mind here. Because remember, at the end of the day, we are this collective that needs to work together in order to, manifest the new world. So, with having our metal ox here, it kind of piggybacks off of the metal rat energy, which was 2020. Okay. And also, you want to take a look at your Chinese zodiac. You want to take a look at that because you can also kind of compare your notes between your animal and the year's animal, just like you can with tarot. It's the same equation. And this is going to be based off of your birth year. So if you don't already know your Chinese zodiac, I would familiarize yourself with it. You should have an animal and an element. So the metal rats are very intelligent and they're very resourceful. And I think that a lot of us have felt that sort of animalistic shift in our intelligence, our ways of thinking, and having to really think quickly and be clever, be a survivalist, really kind of think on our feet and kind of really just maintain our personhood. Rats are so intelligent, so intelligent and so resourceful and natural survivalists. I mean, they can survive through all sorts of things. And I think it's interesting as well how we have this global pandemic in the year of the rat. And I personally, I love rats. I think they're adorable. But there is this plague association or this disease associated with rats and with years of the rat. So I think that's very interesting. And it being metal, metal is a very strong yet flexible element. And I think that kind of carries those undertones of 2020 with it. But shifting into 2021, it's not as quick moving as the rat because it's an ox. So we're not this little rat. We're shifting into big, muscular, slow moving sort of energy with the ox. Um, Ox is very slow. It can be very stubborn. It can be very strong and powerful. Okay. Yes, ox is enduring as well. Yes, animist, I completely agree. I feel like rat is very much like hardcore survivalism versus the ox. We have a little bit more of like, okay, we're getting through it. And what also comes to my mind with the ox as well is planting seeds. Okay. So, we would be using oxen to kind of till or mill or whatever fields and working with agriculture. So I think that 2021 for a lot of us can also very much be a big seed planting year. And the reason why I say that is because going back to this Hierophant, if we have this coming up reverse and we're going against organized institutions, we're going against tradition, we're shifting into this Aquarian cosmic aspect, and we have immense changes and powers at play with the number 5. Now is a great time to really rebuild. Like I was talking about, if your card is if your tarot card is the Tower, this is even more relevant, I feel. But now is a great time to really start sowing new seeds, because as we shift into this new consciousness and as we are shifting into this new era of being, now is a wonderful time to really get your seeds deeply planted and rooted in that fertile soil that we have. Yes. Yes, exactly, embrace. It's definitely a time to really work with that sort of corresponding energy to really make sure that these seeds take into manifest. So shifting out of the rat energy and moving into the strong oxen energy, maybe sit on that, kind of think on that, meditate on that. You can look online and you can find tons of different sources in Chinese astrology about, what this means and textbook definitions. But for me, the first thing I like to do is really just kind of like intuitively connect with what that means for me. And then I like to go back and kind of look. And so some of the things that I have found, I'm going to share them with you. And also, I believe that this change is going to be taking place of the Chinese New Year. So that would be February 12th. So we still have the metal rat energy kind of bleeding into 2021 up until the Chinese New Year. And it will last until January 31st of 2022. So it says the ox is the second out of the 12 zodiac signs. First, we have the rat. Then we have the ox. Funny enough, Taurus is also the second sign of the zodiac because we start with Aries in the Western zodiac wheel. So it goes rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig. The year of the metal ox is coming right after the year of the metal rat, like I just said, and before the year of the water tiger. The water tiger is 2022. That sounds interesting. That sounds really interesting. See, I think that there's big things on the horizon. So I do think that we should hold out some hope here. Okay. All hope is not lost. You are loved and divinely guided. Divinely guided. The years of the ox in the Chinese horoscope are 1913, 1925, 1937, 1949, 1961, 1973, 1985, 1997, 2009 were our most recent oxen, and 2021. So we'll be having some new oxen born in this year. So this says that this year is going to be lucky and also perfect to focus on our relationships, whether we are talking about friendships or love. In the Chinese zodiac, the ox is a very hardworking, methodical. 2021 is going to be a year when work will get rewarded. And those zodiac signs who are lucky in terms of money this year will be the ones that will make considerable effort. This is also more yin energy than it is yang energy. Last year we had more yang with the rat. With the oxen, we have more yin. So the yin yang symbol, you know, that white and black with a little bit of black in the white and a little bit of white in the black. Yin is the feminine aspect. It is the dark aspect. It is the cold, wet aspect. Versus yang is the hot, dry, masculine aspect. And these two forces is what creates and shapes all of creation. So the yin energy specific to the Chinese zodiac sign of the ox will be quite poignant. This is going to be a year when we fully feel the weight of our responsibilities. Like that oxen, like I was saying, carrying those seeds and sowing those seeds, it's going to be hard work. A year when it is necessary to double our efforts to accomplish anything at all. I think that's going to be very on brand with a lot of the maybe political shifts and changes that we're going to be seeing and really having to rebuild everything from the foundation up, or some of us potentially having to rebuild the actual foundation itself. And that can be a very vulnerable time where you feel you are almost left with nothing. But it is possible and very possible. So, since this is a metal year for the second successive year, the color for 2021 is white. So you could also kind of see this as the year of the white ox. And, you know, what comes to your mind when you hear the white ox? So for me, you know, the first thing that came to my mind is oftentimes completely white animals were not only thought to be an abnormality genetically, but they were also somehow divinely gifted, embraced exactly. They were like pure. And a lot of times these white animals would actually be ritualistically sacrificed for spiritual purposes. And I recently just did a whole video talking about blood magic, and that's up on Patreon now. But I talk about animal sacrifice in the blood magic video as well. But when I think of white animals, I think of the sacrificial lamb, I think of the sacrificial goat, or the white horse that's associated often with weddings. And I also think of like something that would have a lot of value. I mean, oxen and like cattle and agricultural animals were a form of trade. So if you were in possession of a white ox, that's quadrupling its value because of the correspondence linked there. Now, according to Chinese astrology, okay, it's saying that this is going to be a favorable year for consolidation and recovery, and also a year really focusing on our investments, especially for creating a reserve stock for the upcoming unproductive years. Now, if you look at some financial aid assessments and just economy assessments, especially if you are here in the States, we are shifting into this recession. So, really looking at how we are creating income and money and having ulterior forms of income and money, I think is very important. And really looking at where we are spending our money, I think is going to be very important. You know, what are you investing your money into? Are you investing in yourself? Are you investing in your growth? Who are you investing your money into? Are these people who you support? Are these ethical companies? Are these ethical people? Are these people that, you know, you want to give value to? Would you want to give that person your white oxen? I mean, think about it. It sounds kind of silly, but, you know, think of every purchase you make as your white oxen. Is this worth your white oxen? And if it's not, maybe you should potentially reassess it. You know, if you're out shopping and you're looking at something, if you don't really, really, really love it, this is not the year to just be buying frivolous things. You want to really make sure that you are caring for this white oxen, taking care of this white oxen, and using this white oxen appropriately. According to Chinese astrology, it's also a year where problems will be solved with immense discipline, a lot of discipline, and obviously with an extra effort from us organizing our time. So we're also talking about time management here. The oxen is very much this, you know, work ethic, work focused, labor intensive animal. So we have that aspect kind of coming in. And I think that there's going to be a lot of different obstacles and shifts and changes when it comes to this because of that Hierophant energy. Yeah, Animus, that's a really good point too, that white is often a funerary color and the color of the dead. I know that you know, it's interesting because like, so when people have come to like celebrations of life or funerals, something that in our family and in our culture that is very prevalent is like there will be white roses at a funeral. And I think it's interesting sometimes because like sometimes in American weddings, white roses will be there. And it always makes me think like, that's kind of like the dead though. That's kind of like a memorial signifier. But we all have different kind of cultural links and ties that represent different things. But if we kind of layer, kind of like Animus, what you're saying here as being a funerary color, in this year, are we looking at then a dead oxen? Are we going to be beating a dead horse? You know, are we going to be keeping up with the cycles and institutions and traditions that are once again no longer serving us? Are we going to be staying in the burning building with the tower? You know, like, what are we doing here, y'all? So I'm also going to pull an oracle card. Yes, death of the ego for sure, Bonnie. Yes, definitely. It's going to be a big year with lots of integral shifts and pivots. And I think that taking the kind of animal message from the ox, it's a year of being enduring, as Animus said earlier. It's a year of being strong and keeping our eyes on the prize and, you know, working until the job is done and, you know, really focusing on that. So we're going to end tonight. You know, we've talked about our tarot, we've talked about our numerology, we've talked about the number 5, the Hierophant, finding your personal card for the year. You know, we've talked a little bit about Jupiter Saturn conjunction because I know that's been a hot topic, but I want to end tonight with an oracle pull. Okay, just an overall pull, and I am using the Isis Oracle, and there is a review video of these cards. This is by Alana Fairchild. I've done a review on this deck here on the channel. I've really been just enjoying this Oracle deck lately, and I've really just been feeling pulled and called to Isis and connecting more, you know, with the gods in that way, in that lens. And this is a really nice way for me to work with that. So let's see what we get from Isis. What message can we pull for 2021? We have the Mother of Life. Isn't this card just beautiful? We have the Mother of Life. So, of course, we have our beautiful Isis wings. We have our scarab. We have our Ankh. We have all of this rich imagery. I love Alana Fairchild's decks. They are just so incredible. We have the divine feminine and masculine coming together in this creation of immortal life here with the Ankh. We have the sacredness of the scarab and the beauty of Isis with her grandiose wings. Mother of life, nourishment of the god of the golden grain mother, nourishment of the golden grain mother. I think that this is really beautiful, that this is the oracle card that I have pulled, because what were we just talking about with the oxen? We were talking about the fields, and now we're talking about the grain, shifting into this. So I feel like this card, Mother of Life, is very much about making sure that we are nourishing our souls, nourishing our surroundings, nourishing others. It's very much a nurturing card. It's very much a fostering card of growth. And I think that what 2020 has done is really put a lot of things in perspective for us, right? So now in 2021, after we are leaving 2020, we are moving into this with a new perception and potentially a new way to foster growth. And I think 2020 and the year of the metal rat kind of put a lot of things in perspective of what is important and what is not important, what should be a priority and what is not a priority. And I think, with Isis here, we are really talking about nurturing and taking care of not only ourselves, but others as well, and really tending to these fields. We are talking about the mother of the golden grain. We're talking about the mother of health, of vitality. We are talking about the mother of life-giving energy. Who are you giving energy to? What are you giving energy to? I think that this kind of ties in, with what I was saying earlier about like, who are we giving our white oxen to? And where are we receiving white oxen? Okay. And I think I kind of want to end there. I think I'd want to stop there and end there and leave that as an open-ended question to all of you watching. I'm seeing here that I've been streaming for about 62 minutes. And it's getting closer where I am to midnight. And I am going to log off of here and take care of the rest of my New Year's plans with my loved ones. But I hope that you all have enjoyed this. And if this resonated with you, share it with a friend, and maybe you can kind of see what their take is and your take on some of these findings here. Tell me, comment down below, let me know what of this you resonated with and what intuitive connections you can pull from the number 5 and the white oxen and the year of the metal ox and the Hierophant and your personal tarot card for 2021. What sort of connections can you find? Because that's what this decoding, that's what this omen craft is. Omen craft being the craft of the conjuration or the seeking of signs, symbols, and omens. That's what this is. You just have to pay attention to these signs because they're right there in front of you. We have the golden grain mother here. We have the year of the metal ox. We have that featured in correspondence to the Hierophant with being the planet Venus and the zodiac of Taurus. So these signs and these symbols and these omens are clear to see if you take the time to look at them. So I hope that you all have enjoyed this. And until next time, blessed be.